The Rat with a Golden Body, written and illustrated by Prathna Harypersad. In the middle of winter, a rat was born. In fact, she was born on the darkest day of the year, when the sun only comes out of its house for the shortest while. Her name was quite odd for a rat. All her brothers and sisters were squiggly and squirmy, as baby rats should be. But she was very different. She was different because the tip of her tail was golden. It didn't just look like gold. It did not just have the color gold. The tip of her tail was really real gold. So they called her Goldie. As the little rat grew, more and more of her tail turned to gold. Oh, she looked so magnificent in spring, when all the flowers blossomed on the trees. By then, her entire tail was golden, and it sparkled and shone in the sunlight. Slowly the days grew longer as summer drew near. Goldie was still growing, as well as her brothers and sisters. But as the days lengthened, the fur along her back turned to gold, then her sides, feet, and finally her face turned gold. At last, just before Midsummer's Day, the little rat was full grown, and all of her had turned to gold, all except her eyes. They were still dark and lit in the light. On sunset afternoon, Goldie did the strangest thing, something that the other rats never thought of. Goldie had collected branches from the veldt and made a pile in the shed near the Pezzulu farm. On Midsummer's Eve, she called all the rats, and when afternoon turned into a sparkly night, Goldie lit the wood pile with the tip of her tail. Oh, how lovely it was to see the bonfire burning merrily, and the rats danced round and round the flames. At midnight, just as the bonfire was at its brightest, the little rat let out a cry. They gathered round to see what had happened, and saw that her eyes had turned to diamonds. The other rats were stunned at Goldie's eyes, and whoever looked into her eyes, whoever saw the golden light streaming out of her diamond eyes, was changed completely. The morning of the next day, the golden rat was blind, and the most wonderful radiant light shone from her eyes. After that, they called her the Midsummer Rat. After 3 days, Goldie's eyes went back to normal, and she could see everything. Slowly, bit by bit, the Midsummer Rat lost her golden sheen. First her whiskers, then her head, ears, legs, sides, back, and bit by bit her tail lost its gold, until on her birthday, the darkest day of the year, only the tip of her tail was golden. Then slowly, as the sun strengthened in the new year, she turned gold again until Midsummer's Eve. This went on for years and years, and Goldie never grew old. As it was tradition, everyone gathered wood for the midsummer bonfire celebration. When darkness fell, Goldie lit the pile with her tail and danced all golden and shiny around the fire with her brothers and sisters. At midnight, the same thing happened to Goldie. Like every year, she went blind. After a few years, the rats began to celebrate midwinter as well. The shortest day they called the tail of the year, whereby everyone painted the tips of their tails yellow, so they looked like Goldie. One blooming spring day, a terrible miner came and sat in a tree. Said the miner, the rats paid no attention, but Goldie felt a chill down her spine and a frightening feeling. The miner flew down like an eagle and grabbed Goldie. Goldie tried to get away, but could not. Her tail glittered, and the miner found it easy to catch her. He croaked. Goldie was terrified as the miner carried her with his claws far from her home into the forest high upon the Drakensberg mountains. They entered a dark and scary cave. The miner threw Goldie into an old rusty cage. As Goldie's tail lit up the cage, the miner transformed into an evil, wicked lady. Queen Helga looked wicked. She dressed up with black felt clothing, and her skin looked old and green. Queen Helga's hall was gloomy, gloomier than the darkest night. But it was no match for Goldie's tail. Day after day, week after week, the gold on Goldie grew and grew until the whole cavern filled with light. Far away from where Goldie was, back at the farm, the rats ran about in confusion. They didn't know what to do without the midsummer rat. The days were gloomy, the sunlight weak and dim, and all creation lost its sheen and beauty. They built the woodpile for Midsummer's Eve, but no one could light it. No matter how hard they tried, the wood refused to burn. There was no dancing, and no cheerfulness, and no joy, and the rats were sad. For 6 long years, the Dark Queen kept the midsummer rat in her cage. Her light waxed and waned with the course of the year, and the Dark Queen often changed into a miner. The midsummer rat begged to be let out of her cage. "I have been here for so long," she cried. "My legs are growing weak and my strength dims. Let me out, or I will die. I cannot run." Queen Helga agreed with a doubt. She kept a sharp eye on Goldie as she walked around in the cave. Eventually, the Dark Queen got tired of the golden rat running around